Shouldn't you, like, contact the princess or something? You obviously are in a lot of trouble, and... Oh, screw this! Okay, this is probably going to be a Rage Out review, for the first time for me, but it just has to be explained. After watching and listening to other opinions on the episodes involving Rainbow Dash and Daring Do, I can't help but pick on this one tiny little annoying complaint of mine. No, I'm not talking about Rainbow Dash and the supposed 180 on her character in this episode. In fact, in sum up, why didn't they keep the Indiana Jones admired Daring Do as a fictional character within the pages of Rainbow Dash's favorite book? Let me address the episodes first before I move on. Rainbow Dash ends up in the hospital after injuring her wing during some practice on her flight tricks in Season 2. She gets bored having to stay in the hospital for a long time, that her friend Twilight suggested a book for her to read known as Daring Do and the Quest for the Sapphire Stone. Of course, Rainbow Dash rejects the idea, calling Twilight an egghead, and simply because she didn't perceive reading as a cool pastime. But eventually the boredom got the better of RD, and she finally gives it to the aspect of reading, only to find she actually enjoys the book Daring Do, and has to face later on with the conflict of herself looking cool and not being silly in front of her friends. As we move through the seasons, the show keeps us in content with RD and her big fan of Daring Do series, reading the books 10, sometimes 12 times over. Then we get to Season 4, episode Daring Don't, where Rainbow Dash is waiting for the next book to come out by the author A.K. Yearling, only to find out that the book has been put back another 2 months. Hoping to find out why this occurred, and to help the author get back on track, RD, along with the rest of her friends, seek out AK to see what's going on, only to discover that AK Yearling is in fact the real Daring Do! Here's where my annoyance comes in. Why was Daring Do made real in the first place? When we first were introduced to her, my first impressions were that she was an off-color image of Rainbow Dash, pretending to be Daring Do in her imagination as she was reading the first book of the Sapphire Stone. As RD reads, we get a glimpse of what she is imagining throughout the entire story, from the puzzles to even the Daring Do enemy, Awizoto. I remember, more or less, that Daring Do was just an off-color perspective point of RD, and how she would interpret the story simply because this is all playing in her head. When I read a book, it's natural for me to pretend or portray myself as the main character. It's a force of habit, as it helps me to better insert myself into the story. Come on, who has to pretend that they were Harry Potter, or the wizard Blade from the Dark Lord of Durkholm? One of my favorite stories. Go read it! Anyway, I just didn't see a whole lot of point to making Daring Do a real character in an MLP series. I rather enjoyed the fact she was a fictional character within the Pony universe. Why? Because it f***ing is relatable to me. Surely in the world of Equestria, ponies have dreams, imaginations, and stories to tell and write. To actually get a glimpse of that, though, in one of the episodes, was just fascinating and enjoyable. It showed that even in a world that is magical as Equestria, it still isn't short of its characters having their own imagination. But now that we come to terms that Daring Do is now officially character in the pony world, several questions are now popping up for me. Why? Why haven't we heard the real threats going on that she supposedly writes as a pastime or a hobby? Why is this Awizoto never mentioned by the princesses? Why is this creature Awizoto doing this, and what are his motives? To take over Equestria? I'm assuming the real Daring Do, since she has to hide her secret identity from the public eye, writes her own stories of adventures as a hobby or financial gain. But these adventures and dangers she faces are real. So why haven't they been noticed before? Is she really that isolated that Princess Celestia and Luna or the EUP wouldn't know about the creature Awizoto or his minions? Does no pony realize that a real threat on Equestria could be going on this very moment during those times, and the only thing standing in the way is a single mare pony named Daring Do?
Just explain!
It just all seems too far-fetched for me to come to terms with. And it's making my poor ears twitch with frustration, ya mew-mews! Okay, but it's true. In reality, we do have a iconic hero we all know and love that Daring Do probably took inspiration from, Indiana Jones. He's a daring explorer facing great odds and challenges and dangerous villains. But here's where I insert the differences between the two. Indiana Jones' family went on adventures to retrieve rare artifacts that were being abused by evil hands, but it was always for financial gain, and not really a threat to the entire world. Whereas Daring Do is doing the same thing, however the artifacts she's trying to find and protect can essentially be used to conquer or endanger Equestria, or parts of it anyway. Now riddle me this. Would you put your faith in the hooves of a single mare facing incredible odds, or would you feel better knowing that the princesses and the EUP know that something is going on? Though I'm sure I'm looking far too deep into this minor complaint. After all, I do understand why the staff of MLPFIM did this. Daring Do has become a huge hit in the fandom. She's been given her own fanfics, storylines, and all sorts of new adventures and books about her adventures. She truly is a fun character to watch, even if she is an off-color version of Rainbow Dash. I admit it, the episode Daring Do was definitely fun for me to watch, especially with my favorite cliché lines that you get from any of those action-packed movies that Daring Do said herself.
Now, Risotto, you know I love you, but I can't give you the ring till I've properly proposed.
Ah, beautiful. Your typical cliché lines from the hero mocking the villain. Priceless. She screams Indiana Jones, and any fan of that movie series would love this MLP episode. But still, I have my complaints on this. I don't necessarily like that she's now a real character, and I felt I had to voice this. Otherwise, I am just a big black cloud sitting out with all the rest of the clouds. The concept of Daring Do is still great though, and I do love to see more of her in the next episodes to come. Who knows? We may actually get another episode with her where she needs help from the famed Six against much bigger odds on her next adventure. We'll just have to wait and see. Till then, guys, keep your eyes out for the rainbows. They will make you... Ah! Arizoto! That kitty!